Houston, our instruments are showing that we have a incoming message from deep space. Repeat, Houston, we have an incoming message from deep space. Houston, we will begin playing message now. Houston, we're going to try and translate that up here. Hold for translation. Translation complete. We'll begin playing message now.
Hey, it's me, Melissa.
What do you do when the aliens invade? Take a shot of MK Ultra and watch Melissa Jade. Put on your tinfoil hat and tune right in. We got that crime spree, flat earth theories, government conspiracies, a complex Mandela effects, unidentified objects, a mind expanding, fake moon landing, what it all bends understanding. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa. Aliens is on the sun, or in Area 51. Time travels, unravels, haunted castles, cops are baffled, potential experimental thoughts that make you transcendental. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa. Crime sprees, flat earth theories, government conspiracies, complex Mandela effects, unidentified objects, a mind expanding, fake moon landing, what it all bends understanding. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa.
Hey guys. Hi Corey. Hey Punksy. Oh nice. Hi Danielle. Mickey 87. Hi Sofla Mama. Corey. Sloth Fan. Danielle. Cool Gamer. Penny for your thoughts. K-Star. Isabella. Jody. Isabel said DNA on sheath doesn't represent being there. What else? Cops drive 2,000 miles to collect dad's DNA when Brian lives 10 minutes away. Take great care. Well, it makes you wonder. Hi, Dick Buffet, Tommy Gunn, Ava. It makes you wonder if they had just recently gotten maybe the genealogy back. And that's all I was thinking, like how it was one of Brian's family members that happened to take like a 23andMe or Ancestry test. Hi, Nenny. And so in the back of his head, he's probably like, God damn it, Aunt Bertha, like you had to take the test. Like that's what ended up finding his DNA, like matching his DNA is because it's like Aunt Bertha ended up taking like a 23andMe. And yeah, I just found that interesting. So how are you guys? Hi, Amy. I'm still trying to process. And I was supposed to go live yesterday, but I'm sorry, guys. I've been super busy just getting shit done around the house. But I'm still trying to process my thoughts. Well, that's what they did. Well, that's what they compared it to, Kristen. So what they did is they had FBI agents pose as garbage men and went and collected trash, and they used, they did, as far as I know, they did both. Because they've been talking about genealogy for a while. So what I think they did is initially they had this unknown DNA right before they knew it was Brian. Or hi, Lady Butterfly, Pointer Lover. So what they did was they ran it through their database, right? Ran it through CODIS. Nothing came back. And then they ran it through the genealogy database. And what I think happened is it eventually came up as, well, this person isn't a hit, but we can give you like a 78% certainty that this person is a relative of the killer, of the person whose DNA. And then eventually, when they had Bryan on their radar, they needed to test his DNA against it. And then they ended up getting his dad's, and it was like a 99.99999% certainty that the killer is offspring of the father. You see what I'm saying? Right. Well, no, actually, I'll have to find where. I know Nancy Grace did, but I don't take anything for certain with Nancy Grace. There was something that specifically said car and genealogy, and it was more recent. I'll find it because I have everything saved. But they definitely took the trash from Bryan's parents' house and got a match through his dad. Which part, Ava? Hold on. Now I'll have to find it. Where was it? Hi, SRB. Yeah, it's his dad's DNA on the sheath. Yeah, we're not sure what type of... It could be a hair, it could be skin cells, it could be blood. We don't know. No, I didn't, Danielle. What did it say? No, that's okay, Lady Butterfly. I don't mind mentioning other creators, but there's certain times, like if it's like certain creators, I'm like, nope, don't mention them. Like the ones I don't support. But Duty Ron's great. Yeah, if touch not as strong. I lean towards the knife sheath being specifically bought and used and left on purpose to lead them down another path with the USMC on it. He just didn't realize he left Trey's DNA on the snap, I guess. Ooh, so you think he intentionally left it behind? They have to have so much more DNA. His hair was exposed, whether it was just his eyebrows. So did you guys get the vibe that this was a COVID mask he was wearing? Because in the affidavit, it explains how he was, like, Dylan says he was wearing a mask that covered his nose and mouth, not his eyes or anything. Hey, V. St. Ratty said that it would put officers and the public lives at risk and that it would halt the investigation. Wait, where did you see that, Danielle? Hello, Christopher Sieber. Police got neighbors' trash, too. Okay. They're focusing on the knife sheath because that's the one to say he had a weapon. If it was just hair, it could have been... Right, Dick Buffet, yeah. Right, Texas Angel. Which is kind of bizarre. COVID mask, right, Nace? How does Bryan's apartment warrant have to be that they won't release it, especially after the horror of what we all... Oh, there's going to be so much more. Right, SRB. His DNA, they did a DNA test. Why DNA testing can help you discover and verify your direct paternal ancestry. Right, JD Wells? I saw it already on allegedly Brittany, but she is reading it from an official source. Okay, I'll find it. Okay. So there were a couple of things. I still feel like I'm in complete shock. But there's like a couple of things within the affidavit that I still want to go over. I'm going to pull up the virtual tour just so we could like kind of have a visual as we go through it. A balaclava. I don't know what that is, Mickey. Hold on. Let me look what it is. Balaclava. Balaclava. Oh, okay. Yeah, perhaps that. Yeah. Wait, okay, so let me find the article. Why? I have so many questions. I wrote them all down to go over with you guys. I saw he's wearing a turtleneck like his hero Bundy. Had it pulled up. Okay, hold on, wait. Hi, Remy. It says, here's why the search warrant for the Moscow murder suspect apartment is sealed. According to court documents, releasing the search... Okay, you know what? Let me pull it up so I could show you guys too. You guys deserve to see it. Okay. Let's go through this article together real quickly. Hi, Booberry. Hi, Rena. Hi, Peach. Okay. So this says... No thanks. Oh my goodness. No thanks. All right. Here's why the search warrant for the Moscow murder suspect's apartment is sealed. According to court documents, releasing the search warrant would create serious and imminent threats to law enforcement and could prematurely end the investigation. Spokane, Washington. Whitman County has sealed the search warrant for University of Idaho student murder suspect BRYAN KOHBERGER's residence at the Steptoe Village Apartments in Pullman. According to court documents, releasing the search warrant would create serious and imminent threats to law enforcement and could prematurely end the investigation, which would cause a threat to public safety. Releasing the details of the Whitman County search warrant would also risk the personal privacy of witnesses, victims, and the victims' families. The court documents will be kept sealed for a limited amount of time. Whitman County estimates that the murder investigation will likely come to a close within 2 months. The documents will be sealed until March 1st, 2023. Okay. See, that's tricky because imminent threats would be, hey, if we give anything that's going to halt this investigation and potentially get him off the hook is an imminent threat to the public, right? Because that would be releasing BRYAN and he is a threat. But as far as creating imminent threats to law enforcement, I'm not sure. Okay, hold on. Let me flip to the screen. I can't get the image of 10 Buddy out of my head when I see him. Yeah, not sure bushy eyebrows will be considered an ID of the killer in court. Dylan will be an absolutely gold mine for the defense. Yeah, they're gonna tear her apart. That's just the truth. That's what the defense's job is to do, is to create reasonable doubt. And unfortunately, her actions or her lack of actions for whatever reason is going, the defense is going to prey upon that. The judge did say he was going to trial no longer than 6 months, or did I hear that wrong? I'm not sure. Okay, hold on, wait. It just jumped. Okay, hold on. Sick people on the internet would probably threaten people in the docks. Yeah, no, Oh, well, Nace, they're going to say anything as far as why did Bryan turn off the phone. But I was listening to an interview earlier of them saying it shows it's actually going to, they're going to build a defense of why his phone wasn't off. But the prosecutors, it's going to show intent that you knowingly took the steps to hide what you were doing. I know, Pointer Lover, 1 + 1 does not equal 2. I mean, I have a lot of questions, but here, Nace actually showed me there was this person who spoke out. Listen, I'm not putting credibility into it. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Hi, Wandering Sub. So I don't know if there's any credibility to it, but I'll read you what it says. So they wrote, the call was made from Dylan's phone, but a male friend, also a fraternity brother, is the one who spoke to 911. Well, wait, no, actually not this one. Hold on. It was, okay. It says, I know Dylan was very confused about what she had seen and heard. I don't want to give too many personal details, but she suffers from PTSD due to some other things that happened to her in her childhood. So she has extreme nightmares and panic attacks often at night. She told the friend who made the 911 call, that she thought she saw someone in a mask in their house, but wasn't 100% sure it wasn't a nightmare. That's why I feel so awful for her. I'm sure she will beat herself up for the rest of her life, but knowing her situation and also that they had been drinking that night, I 100% believe that she was in shock and just tried to talk yourself out of what she had seen and heard. Now, again, take that for what it is. I cannot vet, someone randomly posting, hi, Air Force vet. But, I'm just putting it out there. I do have lots and lots and lots of questions. You guys have known from the beginning. I have lots of questions on what took so long, why you summoned friends to the residents prior to calling 911. Yes, I even have more so questions now of why you would summon friends prior to calling police, especially if you witnessed it. But we have to accept that we also do not have all of the answers. We do not have all of the information. And I know it's easy to sit here and say, hey, this is what I would do in this situation. But at the end of the day, we really don't know. But there has to be more to the story because it's not making quite sense. The cell phone tower. nearest to 1122 covers the whole downtown Moscow area, not proof of stalking, only proof he was so. Ooh, Tommy Gunn, are you going to come in here kind of like as giving us Brian's side? And like, I love devil's advocate. Like, if you want to go back and forth as far as how he can prove his innocence in this, I'd love to hear it. And Avery, this is from KREM 2. Here's why the search warrant for the Moscow murder suspect's apartment is sealed. Okay, so Remy, we don't know if they called friends. We know that they summoned friends. Well, Tony, let's be careful as far as making sure you're stating your own opinion. Oh, well, you did. You put in my opinion. I mean, if that's your opinion, but sorry, the streamer keeps jumping. I don't know why it's been all glitchy since yesterday. Oh, Avery, that's from the groups. I can send you an email of the screenshot if you want me to. Towers don't give an exact location. They give a range. But they may have it from a cell phone, like, yeah, maybe where it connected, like the Wi-Fi. Okay, so what we do know is that the surviving roommates didn't necessarily call friends. They summoned friends. Now, that may mean that they did call, or I've always stuck with the belief that the summoning of friends, they use that word wisely, and it means that they may have physically gone and get someone. I'm not sure. But all we do know is that they summoned friends, plural, to the residence prior to calling 911. And then at 11:58 a.m., a call was made from inside the residence. So again, anybody who's saying, one of the surviving roommates ran outside, passed out, and a neighbor picked up her phone and called, no. The call originated from inside the residence from one of the surviving roommates' phones. They did not clarify who made the call. I believe it was one of the friends that were summoned. And multiple people spoke to the dispatcher prior to the first officer arriving on scene. That is what we know. I mean, Tony, besides drugs, why wouldn't they call the cops right away? There's an endless amount of possibilities. Now, if we're going to say, well, why wouldn't I? Like, if you're particularly asking me, yeah, I would imagine I'd call. But in reality, we don't know, you know? Everyone else before the cops, too. See, 87 said, I would have called my mother before calling the cops. I don't know. I know, Pointer Lover, I know. But again, we have to accept we don't have all of the information yet. We could sit here and we could say she could have, would have, should have, you know. But I'm trying to leave room for information that we're not aware of that will help put this together and make sense. But I'm not putting too much credibility into this as far as she didn't know if it was a dream or a nightmare. I could see alcohol being a factor. Hey, Search and Rescue Mom. Hi, Mrs. Italy D. I could see alcohol being a factor. But what bothers me the most is the amount of time that passed. If it was like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours even, okay. But we're talking about like 6-7 hours later. Maybe immature Doro, possibly, you know. When I called a dead body, I called the cops immediately, even if shocked. I don't know. And I totally understand you, Tony. And I know I would do that too. And I agree with you as far as that. But not everybody reacts the same. Right, Peach? We all react differently. And I don't know what other factors were going on that led her to make the decision she made. That doesn't mean we have to agree with it, right? But I'm just really thinking that there has to be more to this story. But I still, even more to the story, I don't know why you'd summon friends, because it's different. It's not like you summon friends and then called 911 right after. It's you summon friends, friends came in and then called 911. I can't wrap my head around that. I'm sorry to hear about that, Tony. Even if the cops were called, then the cops would have had to call the ambulance by the time those kids were dead. Yeah. Well, listen, it's not fair to put the responsibility on anybody else except the killer. Now, people are theorizing out there that, could Dylan possibly be involved? I'm not going to go down that road. Like, of course, in my mind, all possibilities are open, but I'm not about to sit here and speculate really if she had involvement, because there's nothing so far that points in that direction, and she's already a victim and it's a traumatizing situation. And so I'm trying to do it as respectfully as I can while keeping options open, but while treading lightly, because she is a victim and we do not have all the information yet. She opened the door 3 times over 15 minutes, remembered it all. If you need to play, it jumped, sorry. If you need to play full defense for Dylan, then say she didn't call 911 because she had drugs. But do we have anything? See, if we're going to pull out the drugs, do you have anything that implies drugs were a factor? Because most places, hi Rowdy, most places, when there is somebody injured, overdose, so anything along those lines, and you need to call the cops, they will not charge you or get you in trouble for whatever you may have on you. I forgot what it's called. There's some law or whatever where what matters first is getting people the help that they need, not scared to call because you're going to get in trouble. And at that point, it's your life on the line. And listen, I went through addiction myself, and I can tell you this. I don't think the drugs would be, I think they would be the last thing in my mind, honestly. It was a party house. She may have thought it was a prank. But if she thought it was a prank, she would have eventually come out her room. And when she did, you would very much know it wasn't a prank. What do you mean, Lola Roo? Yeah, Brooke, I heard she gets nightmares because, I read that comment just a moment ago. But it's hard because it's just someone on the internet. Like, I could go on and make a comment stating whatever I want. It doesn't, I keep it in the back of my mind, but I don't put too much weight into it. Blueberry says, I can't wrap my head around what she had heard and seen and still not called that. It's confusing to me too. Listen, it is very, very confusing. And then once, eventually something happens, it's summoning friends. What is that noise? Oh. It's strange. It's very, very strange. Now, like, we also kind of know the order of the killings, maybe not the exact order, but according to Dylan's testimony, after she saw him, he left at the back sliding door. So that implies Kaylee and Maddie were indeed killed first, and Xana and Ethan last. Now, what I'm struggling with here too, yes, Remy, because they believed somebody, an occupant on the second floor, to be unconscious. So, I don't know, Tony. But even if I think it's Bethany waking up, if Bethany went upstairs, she would have encountered, here, let me get this up. She would have encountered Ethan and Xana before getting to Dylan's room. Keep in mind the staircase leading up is parallel to that wall. So let's say this is Bethany, right? Who has no idea what happened. Hey, Jay. Bethany would walk upstairs, The first thing she would see, because to get to Dylan's room, she'd have to walk straight. The first thing she'd see to her right is Xana's body on the floor and Ethan in the room. Okay? So that doesn't make sense either. It doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. But what I'm struggling with now, okay, Avery, what I'm struggling with is Xana getting a DoorDash at 4 a.m., yet according to the affidavit, Dylan's testimony is she heard what she believed was Kaylee and the dog playing around upstairs. So that means at the same time Xana's receiving her food order and there's a delivery person at the house, is the same time Bryan is already upstairs in the act. Now, we do know that we see this Jack in the Box. Where is it? Now, we do know we see this Jack in the Box with Xana's name on the bag in the kitchen next to what appears to be like a knocked over plant. You see the soil's knocked out of it. So knowing that Xana had a 4 a.m. DoorDash order, is it possible Bryan was already there? Bryan was upstairs committing the murders, and then if this Jack in the Box made its way to the kitchen, like you see the bag there, Xana ate it, walked to the kitchen, maybe, okay, ready? Maybe Xana was in the kitchen putting her stuff there, and Bryan intended to leave. That was Bryan's intentions. But as he's coming down the stairs and making his way to the kitchen, him and Xana have a confrontation. And Xana runs, tries to book it to her room. He kills her and then Ethan, because I'm sure he woke up with the struggle. Because I can't understand how all of this happened in such a short window of time. It makes no sense to me. And then how did this bag get here? And do we know for certain this is the DoorDash order? No, but to know that Xana had DoorDash and there's a DoorDash with Xana's name, I think he may have been leaving. Hi, CDT. I think he may have been leaving. He went upstairs. His target was Kaylee Maddie. On his way down, Xana's in the kitchen. She puts her order there. You see the soil knocked over. She runs. Now he has to kill her. Struggle occurs. That's why she's found on the floor, because she wasn't in bed when the killing happened. And then Ethan most likely woke up and he had to get rid of Ethan too. And then he books it. He had right around 16. Well, CDT, what do you think as far as Xana's DoorDash coming at 4 a.m., yet 4 a.m. is the time that Dylan perceives what she believes Kaylee and Murphy playing, when in reality, that would have been Kaylee and Maddie being killed and Murphy going crazy in Kaylee's room. No, it didn't specify if he was on the floor or in the bed, but it did with Xana. And that could be why she heard there's someone in the house, because Xana went running. Exactly. Let me get up the affidavit. Hold on. Well, if Ethan woke up with Xana running back to the room screaming, I don't know. Let me get this affidavit up. Hold on. She may not have screamed, but at the same time, that camera 50 feet away picked up whimpering and a loud thud. If the camera 50 feet away on the neighboring house picked it up, you think that the person on the who's sharing the same floor didn't hear it? I believe he came in, went upstairs to Maddie and Kaylee, heard something, went to check, and he got her. Then going downstairs, Xana's in the kitchen. Brian got Ethan and ran to Xana coming back to her. Yeah. Possibly, yeah. We have to remember with the affidavit, guys, they had to put enough in that affidavit to hold Brian on these charges, to convince the judge that he needs to be held. This is our guy. But they also need to put as little as possible so that the defense doesn't have any additional things. Okay, hold on. All right, here's the affidavit. Okay. So it says, when the officer went up to the second floor, let me pull this off the screen. Okay. So when the officers came up, they directed it down the hallway to what they later found was Xana's room, which is right here. Okay. They went down the hallway, and it says, just before this room, there was a bathroom. This is the bathroom, guys, right here to the left. And then as I approached, I could see a body, later identified as Kernodle, laying on the floor. So Xana's most likely laying right here. With deceased, Kernodle was deceased with wounds which appear to have been caused by an edged weapon. Also in the room was male, later identified as Chapin, was also deceased with wounds later determined to be caused by sharp force injuries. Now, I did notice how they referenced it differently, right? With Xana, they wrote deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Then with Ethan, they said deceased with wounds later determined to be caused by sharp force injuries. Now, does it necessarily mean anything? I guess not, but it was just interesting that they had it different. Well, like I said, Lawnmower Man, what I think is Ethan was in bed. Xana had a DoorDash delivery at 4 a.m. This is the same time that Dylan claimed she heard what she perceived to be Kaylee and Murphy playing upstairs. Well, that wouldn't have been Kaylee and Murphy playing upstairs. That would likely be Bryan attacking. So I think Xana came out. She got her delivery at this door, sliding door. Maybe she even ate in the kitchen. Okay? This is exactly where we see that DoorDash order. So, as the killer is coming down, going out through those sliding doors to make his escape, him and Xana confront one another. You see the knocked over soil. This would account why Dylan heard someone say, "There's someone here." She's running, yet she gets attacked before she could maybe make it full. Well, she made it into her room, but she was deceased on the floor. But obviously, Ethan would have woken up in that scuffle, and then Ethan was killed. Now, that may have caused enough noise to spook him. And then as he went to go leave, that is when Dylan opened the door again. They saw one another, but he just left at the sliding door. What do you guys think? Maybe he left Dylan because Xana and Ethan weren't even supposed to be a part of it either. Yeah, oh, absolutely, I roll. It could totally be an old DoorDash. But we do know she got a 4 a.m. DoorDash. Xana did, and there is a DoorDash, and it says Xana. So just putting it out there. Correct, Nace. So it's not like Dylan peeked and she saw him leaving where she could see the back of his head. She described his eyebrows, which means she had to have been... Why is it doing this? She would have had to have been standing in her room. Why isn't the door open? Open the door. Why isn't the door open? Open. Aww. Guess I can't open the door. Well, I'll do it like this. Which means the killer would have had to been coming from this direction, and basically her door would have been open. They would have confronted right here at the bottom of the steps because she saw him from head on. She saw his face. And then he just went to the right and he left through the kitchen sliding doors. Because see, if he was already leaving and her door was open, she would see him from the back like this. Well, we don't know if he was wearing a balaclava. I think he was wearing more of a COVID mask. Okay. So, it also said, because I want to go back to that, the car times, because it's too close. Was Bryan already... Well, we're going to have to look at the times because 4 a.m. DoorDash delivery and 4 a.m. scuffle upstairs is too close. Okay. So then it says, I then followed officers upstairs to the third floor. Murphy was in Kaylee's room, like I thought. And then 2 females in the single bed in the room. Both Gonsalves and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds. I later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side. And then there was DNA, a single source of male DNA, on the button snap of the knife sheath. Which again implies Maddie and Kaylee were killed first because Dylan had eyes on him leaving through the slider door. So then, okay, so it says all were asleep or at least in their rooms at approximately 4 a.m. This is with the exception of Xana, who received a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. See, this is where we'll have, what do you mean by approximately? Is that 3:50 a.m., 4:05 a.m.? It makes a big difference when we're talking about such a tight timeline. Dylan stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the second floor. Dylan stated she was awoken approximately at 4 a.m. See again, so the DoorDash delivery approximately 4 a.m. Then she's awoken again 4 a.m. This is where it overlaps for me and I get confused. By what she stated sounded like Gonsalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which most likely was Bryan in the act of killing Kaylee and Maddie, and Murphy going crazy from hearing the noise. A short time later, Dylan said she heard who she thought was Gonsalves say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." I think that was Xana who said that. Oh, thanks, Jeff. Correct, Jeff. Correct. Yes. Thank you for the super chat. All right. A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Xana's phone showed this could have also been Xana, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using the TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. So again, 4:12 means if she got her order at approximately 4:12 means she already got the order, she already ate it, right? Which would make sense because this DoorDash order sitting here already opened. She's scrolling through TikTok. Was she eating in the kitchen? Maybe Ethan was already asleep and she was out there. She had the munchies. She's eating and she's scrolling through TikTok. Dylan stated she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. Well, is that because Xana's in the kitchen? Bryan walks downstairs. Xana and Bryan see each other. Xana runs past, basically saying someone's in the house, gets to her room. Bryan follows. So by the time Dylan opens the door, she doesn't see anything. Dylan stated she opened her door for a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Kernodle's room. Now this would make sense. She heard maybe Xana fly by saying there's someone here, got to the room, she opened the door, nothing. But the next thing she hears is crying, because at that point he would have been in the act of killing Xana, okay? She opens the door again, does not see anything. Dylan then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Now, don't take that as like a direct quote. That is what she perceived to hear. So it could be a play, like those words may have been used, but maybe not in that same statement. Like it could be similar to the effect. Now, is it Bryan who said it? Or is it possibly Ethan saying something like, I'm going to help you, who knows? At approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located next door picked up distorted audio of what sounded like a voice or whimper, followed by a loud thud. What I think the thud was is the body hitting the floor. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times, starting at 4:17 a.m. And the security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Kernodle's bedroom. Oh, thanks again, Jeff. Maybe Ethan came out of bathroom to find Xana's bloody, but didn't see Bryan hiding. Ethan could have said, it's okay, I'm going to help you. Maybe, Jeff. I don't think that's likely, but maybe. So what's also interesting is keep note of the times. And I'm working on the next time I go live, I'll post on my community tab too, but I'm making like a document to write the exact timestamps and what happened so you guys can see it and be able to see, okay, at 4:12 this happened, at 4:17 this is what allegedly happened, because it's a lot easier for me to visually see things. So I'm working on that, and I'll put that out on my next live, guys. So if we have Xana using her TikTok at 4:12, but by 4:17, that camera is picking up cries, whimpers, and a thud. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. She went from scrolling on TikTok to those cries, whimpers, and a thud. I believe the front door, all things silver, was left open for the cops to come in. Keep in mind, friends were already summoned. By the time cops arrived, I think they left the front door open because they were waiting for the cops. Hi, Michelle. That's a great question, Dr. Lipschitz. I always did not agree with that 3 to 4 a.m. timeline. We went through this so many times. How are they so exact? 3 to 4 seems too quickly. Like, it made no sense. Right. That's a great point, A Voice for Hope. Because I would have expected to have the dog picked up barking prior, more around 4 a.m., but maybe the dog barking alone previously wasn't enough audio. Maybe it was Xana's cries being closer to the camera that initiated the recording, and then in the background you could hear the dog too. Oh, thanks, Riddler. We have been so meticulous with this case since the beginning. I feel like we lost 4 friends. Oh, I know, Riddler. Thank you for the super chat, but I know you get very heavily invested, and it's heartbreaking. So, then Dylan stated she opened her door for the 3rd time. Hey, Jetlag. For a 3rd time, Dylan opens the door after she heard the crying. So this is the 2nd time she opened the door from hearing crying. And so all I ask you guys, keep in mind the time frame again. It'll be a lot easier once I put the visual out. But 4 a.m., the first time she heard something, to about 4:17 a.m. That's 3 times in a 15-minute window. You're going out and checking. It's a lot. So Dylan said she opened her door for the 3rd time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose, walking towards her. So again, walking towards her, implying that he'd be coming from the direction of Xana's room. Walking towards her. Walking towards her means he had been coming from this direction, heading this way, okay? To make his escape to the right, Dylan opens the door. I highly struggle with people who say maybe he didn't see her. If she was able to see his eyes and he was walking towards her, this is exactly how the door opens to her room. I struggle that he wouldn't have noticed that door opening. Welcome, Baseball Mom. Thanks for becoming a member. I don't know what's going in chat, guys, but yeah, like everybody is allowed to have their own opinions. It's totally fine. Just please, while expressing your opinions, you're stating it is your opinion and try to do so respectfully. I know that there's a lot of unanswered questions and people are side-eyeing certain things, and that's completely okay. I understand that, but just make sure that you're expressing it respectfully, okay? All right, so Dylan described the figure as 5'10" or taller. Thanks, Baseball Mom. Not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. She looked right into his eyes. The male walked past Dylan as she stood in a frozen shock phase. And I do believe that. I do believe that she could have just been, like people have fight or flight or freeze. There's always a third one. Fight, flight, or freeze. Have you ever been in a situation where you're so caught off guard, you just, and everything kind of pauses for in the moment and kind of goes in slow-mo, or it goes really super fast and you're like, what just happened? There's freeze. So I do believe as he was approaching her, she may have locked up and froze. You don't even have time to react because your brain's not computing and processing the information in front of you. The part that I just struggled, all right, country boy, cut that out. Seriously. You can say in your opinion, you think Dylan may have had involvement. That's okay. But do not be saying it like that, please. But the part that I struggle with, not that she froze in the moment, is that so much time elapsed after the freeze and then the summoning of friends and then the 911 call. That's it. Hi, Red Raider. I think she was just peeking out and the doors just cracked. Possibly. I still struggle with that, though. But that's possible, yes. Right, eye roll. So she said the male walked towards the back sliding glass door. So again, it implies that Ethan and Xana were the last to be killed because he would have left after that. Dylan locked herself in her room after seeing the male, which I totally understand. But once you locked yourself in the room, I would expect you to call police, call a friend, call anyone, I am very interested to see her phone data from that period forward. And when I say that, I'm not saying, hey, you're, guilty. I very much would be interested If you didn't call the cops, what were you doing? Hi, Moody Mary. That too, CDT. So let's proceed to the car times, because again, it's conflicting with the DoorDash and the time Dylan heard the scuffle going on upstairs. Well, let's see when his car was seen to determine, was he already in the house? Was he not? The defense is, hi headphones, the defense is going to grill her badly. They are. Maybe Lawnmower Man. I thought it was interesting. It listed downloads of the roommate's phone. Up, it jumped. As factor as how they determine the time of the crime. Yeah. Kashtasha says, stating you're in shock indicates that you know something is very off. You don't remain in that state for nearly 7 hours. Why not text? Maybe there was, but no response. Then call 911. And I agree, Kashtasha. I agree. That's why I'm truly interested to see her phone activity for those 7 hours. Nobody should rise up against anyone, Jean. It's natural. People are going to have questions, and that's okay. But nobody should harass. And we've stated this from the beginning of every case. Do not harass anyone. Send anybody hate. At the end of the day, we do not know all of the answers. We do not know all of the information. And you need to reserve judgment until you have all the information. It's okay to question things, but you got to do it respectfully, and you got to do it while accepting you don't know all the information. Maybe a voice for hope. Maybe, who knows? She could say, I thought it was someone. I thought it was someone that, was visiting. That's the hard part, is that it was a college house. And so that there were plenty of people. Hi, that Ellen. There were plenty of people who were coming in and out. Right. If she didn't know anybody was harmed. Who's saying that, Jean? I mean, I can't keep up completely with chat, but I don't see anyone saying poor Brian. Oh, well, I didn't, Mickey. I certainly never pointed my fingers at any of the jacks, actually. I always said I don't think the killer is any of the people in the main spotlight. Sorry, my thing, my headphone went underneath. Is it still doing it? My headphone rolled underneath the blanket. No. It's making fart sounds? Oh, great. That's going to get clipped. It rolled. I keep one of my headphones out now, so the mic isn't so close to my mouth because I'm a loud talker. And it rolled kind of underneath my blanket and leg. I was not tooting, Jasper, but whatever. If I did, I'd own it. I know, Pointer Lover. I know. Okay. So let's see. It says the combination of Dylan's statements to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads of records from Bethany and Dylan's phone, and video of a suspect described below leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 and 4:25 a.m. Oh, thank you, Amy. I try. It's not easy, and I know everybody has their own opinions, and I try to allow speculation based on fact. But yeah, sometimes it's hard because everybody is very opinionated. You know, that's why you got to just try to do our best to express it without like pointing blame. Like you could question it, just do it the right way. I don't know. I'm still learning too, to be fair. Okay, so, well, that's what I was saying, Kurt, is that to be fair, it's not like our homes where it's, listen, I know it's the same 4 people who live here all the time. Anybody else who comes in is an intruder. But in a house like that, there were so many people cycling in and out, coming and going. Is seeing someone you don't know really that out of the ordinary? Now, there are other factors like hearing what she thought said someone's in the house and crying and whimpering. And I think that's the biggest struggle we're all having, is all of the other factors on top of it. But again, don't know all the information yet. So it says investigators found a footprint, a latent footprint. It was located during the second processing using a presumptive blood test and then amino black. It was diamond-shaped pattern similar to Van's just outside the door of Dylan's bedroom, which is right here, which makes sense, guys, because he would have had to pass her bedroom multiple times. If he came in through the sliding door, and I'm assuming that because that's where he left, he came in, he would have stepped all through here, went upstairs, came back downstairs. Maybe he confronted Xana here. We don't know. Either way, he went out back this way, and then once again for the 4th time traveled back in this direction out the sliding door. So finding a footprint here makes sense because that is the path of travel. Like that's the most path of travel. Okay, so they had a video canvas. Let's see. A review of camera footage indicated that the vehicle was observed traveling westbound in the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive at Moscow at approximately 3:26 a.m. and then again at 3:28 a.m. Okay, so he's traveling. Then he was spotted at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. Obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. So he arrived around 3:30 in that general vicinity, and he was out by 4:20. That's why I'm questioning, was Bryan already in the house by the time Xana got her DoorDash? So his car can be seen entering the area a 4th time at approximately 4:04 a.m. 4:04 a.m., guys. And that's why it's like when they say approximately 4 a.m. Xana got her DoorDash. Well, is that 3:50 a.m. or is that 4:05? It makes such a massive difference when you're looking at this tight window of time. Same thing with around 4 a.m. is when Dylan heard Kaylee and Murphy playing what she perceived as playing. Well, is that 3:55 a.m. or 4:05? It makes such a big difference. No, that was not him at the vigil. I showed a photo, a better photo that showed it wasn't him, all things silver. So it can see entering the area for a fourth time at 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of 500 Queen Road, and then driving back westbound on King Road. When suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3.point turn, and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. His car is next seen departing the area of the King Road residence at approximately 4:20 a.m. at a high rate of speed. So look at that window of time, guys. Look at that window of time. He is still seen at 4:04 a.m. on camera, and he's making these turns, doing 3-point turns, trying to park, and then seen. So that it's still a few minutes after that he could have gotten in the house, because he still had to park and get in there. But he's also seen by 4:20 booking it. Did he commit all these murders in 10 minutes? All within a 10 to 12, 13 minute time frame? Because again, he's seen on camera at 4:20, which means he had to leave before that, get into his car, and then seen. The same thing at being seen at 4:04 a.m. making 3-point turns, driving up and down. It's like 4:10 to 4:18, all 4 murders. Melissa, do you see anywhere where it states the Hyundai parked? I just see it talking about... No, I don't so far. I'll continue reading. But that's the interesting part, is they have not stated where he was parked or if they have that on footage. So, again, it says multiple sightings of the vehicle starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20. So we see him in the area come in around 3:29 a.m., okay? Then they see him entering the area a fourth time at approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving around King Road, stopping, turning in front of Queen Road, then driving back westbound on King Road. When suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. And why I keep saying find that important is it's seen on camera at 4:04 a.m., but listen to all of the activity it's doing. So that takes time too, which cuts into the amount of time he had to do the killings. The vehicle is seen departing the area of King Road residence at approximately 4:20 a.m. So between 4:04, seeing it doing all of those things, to where it's booking at 4:20, it had to have time. He had to have time to park, get out, get in the house, commit all the killings, get back to the car, and book it to be seen by 4:20. That is such a short window of time. It's then next observed traveling southbound on Walenta Drive. It does not show the vehicle during that time frame. Let me see. Yeah, it gives us nothing about where the car was parked. He committed these murders so fast. Hey, Queen. We were covering this yesterday on my channel. I'm finding it really shocking that so many people are upset with Dylan. Yeah, well, you know, again, I think it's okay to have questions, but you have to accept we do not have all the information yet. I absolutely have questions too, and why she may have done or may not have done certain things, but we do not have all the facts yet. Doesn't he have a good name, Dr. Lipschitz? I don't think there was anyone else driving the car. That's just me. Yeah, Nancy. See, why I thought he would have wanted to enjoy the killings more. I know that sounds horrible, but it seems like he's been fascinated his entire life. And so that's why it's so bizarre to me. If this was just about like enjoying the act of killing, there were plenty of single occupant apartments he could have chose. And he wouldn't have had to worry about witnesses, time, like he would have had, you know, but instead he chose this house, and it was so quick. So quick. Let me see. So then 2:44, you see him on his campus. 2:53. Oh, thanks, Nace. 15 minutes is a long time. I challenge you all to go full speed on a treadmill for 15 minutes. Well, it's not even 15 minutes. It's less than 15 minutes. Thank you for the super chat, though. But it's less than 15 minutes, right? Well, that's what I'm thinking, Queen. My working theory right now is he came in. His intention was to go up at Kaylee, the target. Maddie, I don't know. His intention was to go up those stairs. Xana was in the kitchen eating her DoorDash. We see it here. I don't know if this is indeed the DoorDash from that night. This is just my theory, because we know Xana got DoorDash. There's a DoorDash with Xana's name. Next to the DoorDash is a spilt pot of soil. I think she was in the kitchen eating her DoorDash. His intentions were to come down and leave out that sliding door. But instead, when he came down, he's confronted with Xana. Xana books it and screams, "There's someone in the house." That is what Dylan heard. She thought it was Kaylee saying there's someone in the house, probably because the voice came from right outside her door, and she might have thought it was coming from upstairs. But it was really Xana saying there's someone in the house. She runs to her room. The killer chases, kills her. That's why she's on the floor. Then kills Ethan because Ethan would have woken up. Then he goes out, is freaked out because, I don't know if he's freaked out, but it wasn't planned to do those killings. Now he's nervous because there were noises made. Again, distorted audio picks up cries, whimpers, and a loud thud. We know the dog was barking. He may have gotten worked up because of how much noise, and that wasn't the plan. And so as he's leaving, even though he sees Dylan, he may already believe at this time that law enforcement has been called, and he bypasses her and books it right out the sliding door. And so that's why he left Dylan, is because Xana and Ethan were unplanned. It made enough noise to be picked up on the neighboring audio. And he probably thought, if you're awake and seeing me, you probably called 911 by now. And he left. He wasn't going to stick around and kill Dylan if he believed that there was a chance she called law enforcement already. But that is what I am thinking at this point. That is my working theory. I'd love to hear all of your guys' working theories. No, I do not, Stephanie. if Dylan left with him, right, they would have all of that on footage. Again, this is just the arrest affidavit. They have a lot more than what they put in. You guys agree? Oh, I have a couple of people who agree. Yeah, I read that earlier. Again, someone made a comment, a post in the group saying that Dylan suffers from childhood trauma and PTSD. And so when this was happening, she struggled with, is this basically reality or is this one of my nightmares? Now, I don't know if it's true. I do not know if it's credible. It is someone who made a post in the group, but just take it for what it is. And again, I'm not blown away by the freezing and then locking yourself in the room and freaking the hell out. I question the amount of time that passed before anything was done and then summoning friends before calling 911. But there may be a very logical explanation. We just don't have the information. But that's why I'd be really, really curious to see her phone's, like her communications, what she was doing. Was she texting the roommates? Yo, what's going on? Who was that? What was she doing in that time frame? Because it is a very large amount of time to pass. I think he saw her. If she was able to see his eyebrows, his eyebrows, she had to have that door open enough. And if he was already walking towards her, that means he would have seen the act of the door opening. But I think because Xana and Ethan were not planned and there was noise being made, and again, keep in mind, it says at 4:17 a.m., not only do you hear the cries and the whimpers and a loud thud, you hear the dog barking. So there is noise being made in this house at this point. There is noise. That dog is barking. Now it is a very big risk to stay in that house. At that point, he doesn't know, because think about how much adrenaline is being worked up in the moment and the fight. He really doesn't even know how loud that really was. The neighbors call, who knows? So now he's got to get out. And so even if he did pass her, I think that he thought that law enforcement had already been called. And that is why I think he returned to the scene of the crime the next morning, because he booked it, went back. I think now I want to know, where did he stop if he stopped on the way back home? Because if he thought law enforcement was being called, did he ditch his clothes? Did he ditch the knife? What did he do? And he got back and he sat and he waited to hear anything on the news, from his friends. And then he's sitting there, hours is passing and there's nothing. No sound, no news going across saying that this killing happened. And then enough time where he starting to be like, what the hell's going on? So he got in his car and he did a little drive-by to see if there was any activity going on outside of the house. Did he contemplate going back inside for the sheath? I can't imagine where his mind went as he is driving after leaving and realizing, holy crap, I don't have my sheath on me. I know some people think he intentionally left it behind. Possibly. I don't personally. But did he contemplate going back inside for it? I don't think that's why he returned to the scene. I think he returned because nothing happened yet. No cops, no nothing. And he could not handle not knowing. And so he did a drive-by. Hi, this the breaks. Hold on, Lawnmower, and I'll get to that. Okay, so let me continue with the affidavit. Okay. I'm going to get to his phone pings. Hold on. Mm-mm-mm. I'm getting to the phone ping parts, guys. Hold on. Okay, so they obtained search warrants to determine cellular devices that utilize cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence. Okay. So it showed that his phone was utilizing cellular tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 and 5 a.m. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. A query of the phone in these returns did not show the phone utilizing cellular towers resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 and 5 a.m. So when it initially came back, it showed that no, his phone didn't utilize those towers between that time frame. So then it gets into individuals can either leave their cell phones at a different location before committing a crime or turn their cell phone off prior to going to a location to commit the crime. So they got the search warrant, and initially it was just 24 hours preceding and following the murders. Years. Okay, so on November 13th at approximately 2:42 a.m., the phone was utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to Northeast Valley Road, Pullman, Washington, which is Kohberger's residence. So 2:42 a.m., he was still home. We'll get into that, Sam K., how there's much more credibility to this stalker now. So 2:42, he's still home at his apartment. 2:47, the phone utilized cellular resources that provide coverage southeast of the Kohberger residence, consistent with leaving his apartment and traveling south through Pullman. So 2:47, guys, he's on the road heading to the apartments. I'm going to put out an entire timeline based on this affidavit, so it'll be a lot easier next live we do. So 2:47, he's en route. He should have shut his phone off before he left his apartment. 2:47, the phone stops reporting to the network, which is consistent with the phone being without coverage or connection to the network, or they've turned the phone off. He most likely turned the phone off. 2:47 a.m. Why I find this interesting is how close he lived to them. He only lived 15 minutes, but look at this. 2:47, and this was late at night, meaning there's no traffic or anything. You'll fly there. 2:47, he turns his phone off. He's en route. He would have arrived a little after 3 a.m., which makes me believe he was waiting, watching and waiting. So 2:47 a.m., he turns his phone off. And it doesn't report again to the network until 4:48 a.m. Now, keep in mind, 4:20 is when we see him booking it. So he waited another 28 minutes before he even turned his phone back on. Where did he go in those 28 minutes? What did he do? What did he discard? Between 4:50 a.m. and 5:26 a.m., the phone utilizes cellular resources that are consistent with the phone traveling south on Idaho State Highway 95, then traveling west towards Uniontown, and then back north, Pullman, Washington. Again, he lived 15 minutes from the home. Why did he go so far out of his way? And I'll make a map also when I make the timeline for the next live so we could see a visual of the route he took based on this. Like he went out of his way. He went somewhere and then back to his apartment. He was traveling on Stadium Drive at 5:27 a.m. So keep in mind again, 4:20 a.m. He is seen booking it. He lives 15 minutes away. He is still seen driving at 5:27 a.m. Jacqueline, most likely from the sliding doors, that's how he left. So that's what I believe he entered from. This is an hour and 7 minutes after he is seen booking it on video. An hour and 7 minutes later. What was he doing? Where was he going? Further review indicated that the phone utilized cellular resources on November 13th that are consistent with the phone leaving the area of the Kohberger residence at approximately 9 a.m. and traveling to Moscow. The phone utilized cellular resources that would provide coverage to the King Road residence between 9:12 and 9:21. So watch, guys. See? He left his residence at 9 a.m. and he was already in the area of the King Road by 9:12. See how close he lived? 12 minutes. Yet he was driving around for an hour and 7 minutes at least after the murders. Why? Ask yourself why. Where did he go? What was he doing? So he made it from his apartment back to the King Road residence in 12 minutes. And he is utilizing their resources from 9:12 to 9:21 a.m. 9 minutes. Nine minutes. Hey, that girl. The phone next utilized cellular resources that are consistent, traveling back to the area of the Kohberg residence, arriving there at 9:32. So when he left, he got home 11 minutes later. So he's not even 15 minutes away from them, you guys. He's 10, 12-minute drive. I have so many questions. Did he ditch the weapon? I think, like again, you guys heard my working theory. I think he anticipated that cops were already called. And that's why when he booked it, was he wearing, she said he was wearing all black. I was, we thought, was he wearing some type of like hazmat suit, anything? Oh, bye, Nace. Was he wearing some type of hazmat suit or anything? But he was wearing all black. But when he left, I think he may have already anticipated that cops were called. And so he was hurrying up and discarding what he could before he went back home. And then once he got home after 9 a.m., and not 9 a.m., I'm sorry, a couple hours later, he's sitting there and he's waiting either for a knock on the door, for the news going, to wait to see, and nothing happened. And that's why he went back at 9 a.m. to check it out, because he was like, what the fuck? Like, I think he expected cops to be there immediately. So he would have gotten rid of whatever he could on that over an hour-long drive. I think this is the breaks. I think it is his memento. I think it's his trophy. I do not think he would destroy it. But if he felt like cops were going, yes, do I think he may have impulsively and quickly got rid of what he could? Because, again, he lived 10 minutes away, yet he's on camera going all these routes over an hour and 10 minutes later before he got home. You think he buried the clothes and buried the knife? Yes, this is true, Maniacs. This is true. I do, Sam K. Now, we ask this question all the time, but let's ask it again for people now with more information. Do you believe this is Bryan's first kill? Or do you believe he's killed before? I personally think, and I've always thought, this is Bryan's first kill. It is a ballsy, cocky, dangerous, risky first kill. But I do believe it's his first kill. Wolfie says first. First. Yeah, definitely his first kill. I think the guy's a twerp. First. I don't know, Robert. He may not have realized he forgot the sheath until he was in the car driving. Who knows? And tried to go back to revive it. Not first kill, V said. First. I agree. First. I don't know. I'm conflicted. First humans. Okay, Remy. First. CDT says, I think first, if we aren't including animals. See, I don't think he hurt animals. Like, I know I've heard a lot about the whole vegan. And how could somebody who respects animals so much do something so horrific to 4 people? I don't think he touched any animals. I don't think he fits the cookie cutter standard. If you look into his past, you'll see he was tormenting and, killing animals, and it's like a direct, clear increase to killings. I don't think he fits that. Possibly, Brooke, yeah. You don't think he respected animals? And then Amina says he wouldn't hurt animals. See, it's so interesting. Everyone has their own opinions. But what's really interesting is it shows that Bryan has his cell phone data shows that he has been in that direct area at least 12 times prior. One of those times On August 21st, now keep in mind a little context. Hi, Mary. Bryan just moved there in August. August 21st, he receives the seatbelt citation 5 minutes away from the girl's home. He's been there 12 times. And this is what I always meant by, I don't think the killer has been in the house before, but if you simply observed from the outside, you would eventually get an understanding. So, this puts a little bit more credibility into the stalker Kaylee referred to. You do have something called a sixth sense, and that's your gut feeling. That's your intuition. And you can, just the same way that if you're laying there with your eyes closed in bed, you ever sense that someone's looking at you and like you open your eyes and like someone may have like, someone was peeking in the room checking on you. Are you asleep? You could feel that someone was there looking at you, right? You have that gut feeling, that instinct. And I think Kaylee may have been picking up that there was someone constantly watching. All right? But it's just bizarre to me that it was August 21st, which was the night before that was the night before classes started, 11:40 p.m. on a Sunday evening, the day before classes started. It makes me believe that he's been watching at least one of those girls, if not all, or the home, the entire time he's been there. So then my little conspiracy mind starts to go, and it makes me question if his entire reason of going to Washington was to do this. Now, I know that's a big leap, but I look how Bundy went here. That he took classes of the professor who taught BTK and was an expert on him. Did he go here with the intention of committing this crime? Was he trying from the beginning to commit his perfect murder? If he was already outside of that house on August 21st, the same month he moved to Washington, he shouldn't be familiar with these people, these surroundings, nothing. The day before class started. And he's already stalking out either the people or the home? Was his entire purpose of going to this college was for him to create his masterpiece and follow in the footsteps of his idols? Oh, thank you so much, Cassie. He always wanted his professor to write a book about him. She wrote other books on serial killers, BTK. He wanted power. Thank you so much for the super chat. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at, like along the lines. Oh, that's great, Amina. We're happy to have you. So part of me thinks he methodically chose going here, not the same way that everybody makes the choice of where they want to go to college and vets it. I think he went there wanting to take classes underneath this professor, knowing Bundy went here. Now, it also very much mimics Bundy had his kills with the sorority girl. Like, it's like he took little pieces of the different murderers that he admired and created his own combined. Meatfoot said, what do you think about his dad? Do you think he knew what Bryan did? I don't. Oh, welcome, Danila. Oh, thank you. Danilo. Sorry, Danilo. It has 2 addresses, Mary. So the home has 2 doors. It has the front ground level parking level door, which is King Road. Then you have the back sliding door on the 2nd floor, but that is also ground level, and that's Queen Road. So it technically has 2 addresses. I think he drove back. Oh, why did Dad drive back with him? So it was only a week prior to this. Okay, I'll call you Danny. So it was only a week prior to this that Moscow Police Department came out and asked for the community's help. And they put out the Hyundai Elantra. And I do not think Bryan was willing to leave that car in Washington to go with his family. I am curious to know, because I kept hearing how this was planned far in advance. Well, it may have been planned far in advance for Bryan to go home for holidays, but was it planned for Dad to fly to Washington and then take this long ass ride back to Pennsylvania? It's a long drive. $37 hours. Oh, thank you so much, Amina. Thank you for the super sticker. Dylan isn't a no-go subject. I just ask, and I'm not sure what's going on, but I just ask to try to be respectful while expressing your opinions and try not to point the finger and place blame. Like, it's okay to question, absolutely. Just try to do it respectfully. I have many questions regarding Dylan. I do. I'm just trying to be respectful because many times we have all been wrong before, you know? And same thing with like Debbie Collier, right? I never in a million years would think that was a suicide. Yet if we're quick and we point the finger and it turns out they had nothing to do with it, those accusations never go away. So it's just about respectfully expressing your thoughts and opinions as opinions, not facts, and without pointing total blame at the person. Okay, so, and thank you, Sarcastic, for the super sticker. Kaylee was moving to Texas, Amethyst. I know, Ravi, but that's my point. But we never know. You never know. Bob, do you have any evidence of that? And you know what? Maybe she was, but do you have evidence of it? It's hard, that girl. I understand everybody has a lot of questions. I have those same questions. It's just about, like I said, it's trying to figure out how to pose the questions respectfully. I'm still learning, guys. You think he was obsessed with Maddie because she basically ran the vegan spot? Well, was he obsessed with Kaylee? And the same scenario that people were pointing the finger at Jack about, think of it in Bryan's perspective. Hi, Lori. Was Bryan obsessed with Kaylee, watching, observing, fascinated. And instead of Jack being the jealous, scorned one because she was leaving for Texas, was it Bryan? He knew that she was leaving. What do you think about the seal they put on the warrant? The wording of it has me scratching my head. I can't understand how it says it could destroy the entire case. So what Booberry is referring to, anybody who wasn't here in the beginning of the live, I'll read it again. There was an article published that says, here's why the search warrant from the Moscow murder suspect's apartment is sealed. Because if you guys didn't know, no, she wasn't Mr. Wrong. The search warrant for Bryan's apartment is sealed. So it says, according to court documents, releasing the search warrant would create serious and imminent threats to law enforcement and could prematurely end the investigation. Whitman County has sealed the search warrant for University of Idaho student murder suspect BRYAN KOHBERGER's residence at the Steptoe Village Apartments in Pullman. According to court documents, releasing the search warrant would create serious and imminent threats to law enforcement and could prematurely end the investigation, which would cause a threat to public safety. Releasing the details of the Whitman County search warrant would also risk the personal privacy of witnesses, victims, and the victims' families. The court documents will be kept sealed for a limited amount of time. Whitman County estimates that the murder investigation will likely come to a close within 2 months. The documents will be sealed until March 1st, 2023. So in the court documents, it says, this matter is in the investigative stage, and while criminal charges have been brought, those charges are not yet publicly known. Premature public disclosure of the details of this law enforcement investigation will create a serious and imminent threat to effective law enforcement and could result in the premature end of this investigation, which would create a threat to public safety. Now, when they say it's a threat to public safety, that means because ending this investigation, messing up, and allowing Bryan back out on the street is a threat to public safety because he is a mass murderer, right? But it does make you question what I think there's going to be a lot at his house, but I already thought that he had to wash up somewhere. And was he gone long enough to, like, we don't know where exactly he went. We know he was driving for over an hour, but what did he do with his clothes? What did he do with the knife? And either way, even if he was covered, he would have to wash up. And is it in his drains? Is there skin cell? Is there blood? DNA? I don't know, Amina. Yeah, and Mad Greek wasn't specifically a vegan restaurant. I think they had like 1 or 2 vegan items on the entire menu. The trial is going to be nuts, yeah. Oh, thank you, Lacey. Lacey just said, Bryan Enton just tweeted that the house will remain a crime scene until February 1st. Well, let's just discuss for a moment Bryan's new defense attorney. Okay? Let me read you a little bit. Oh, thank you, CDT. Hi, Kib Kitty. CDT said, I saw this morning Mad Greek stated they don't recognize Brian. I don't think there is a connection. I just heard once people saw that he was a vegan, and I understand they made the connection with the girls working in the Mad Greek, but at the same time, he's not just a vegan, guys. He will not eat from pots or pans that have touched meat. That is not, So, Bryan Kohberger's new female attorney famously overturned murder conviction after exposing lying Idaho cop. Quadruple killer turns to public defender Ann Taylor, who has already scoured the crime scene. And if you guys remember, the same day before he even got back to Idaho, that house was being scoured by his team before he got back to Idaho. And remember when they initially had a crew going in, a crime scene crew going into cleanup, but then they said it got halted because there was a request from the courts? That was his defense attorney. Okay? Yes, Bob. Yes. So it says, Ann Taylor, 57, will be part of the team representing Bryan Kohberger. He is expected to return to Moscow, Idaho. See, this was before he returned. He's expected to return. His lawyer previously worked on a case where an Idaho police officer lied, resulting in the conviction being overturned. The attorney representing mass murder suspect Bryan Kohberger is the Kootenai County Public Defender, who previously overturned a murder conviction after catching out false statements from Idaho police. Ann Taylor, 57, has already sent a team of investigators to the house on Kings Road in Idaho to start a crime scene reconstruction ahead of Kohberger's return to the state. He left Monroe, we know that. Taylor and a team of 4 others visited the home where the bloody slayings took place on Tuesday, the same day as Kohberger waived his extradition in court. She has worked for the Kootenai County Public Defender's Office since 2004 and was given the top job in 2017 after John Adams retired. Taylor worked on the case of Jonathan Ellington, who was accused of using his car to run over a woman in a road rage incident. Ellington, who was 45 at the time, was convicted and sentenced to 25 years for the crime, before having it overturned because of an Idaho police officer's false testimony. Ellington, who was 45 at the time, was convicted and sentenced to 25 years for the crime before having it overturned because of an Idaho police officer's false testimony. Hours after his extradition hearing, investigators hired by Kohberger's defense team arrived at the property on King Road to take pictures and footage. Taylor serves on the board of the Idaho Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers and is death penalty certified in Idaho. The Idaho native graduated from the university where all 4 victims were studying, with a bachelor's degree in political science and a master's degree in public administration. She went on to get a doctorate from the same establishment before practicing law at federal, state, and local levels. Taylor serves on the board of the Idaho Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers and is death penalty certified in Idaho. Speaking when she took the job as chief public defender, she said, "It's such necessary work. It's important to make sure constitutional rights apply to everybody. You help people who are facing horrible times. I love the work." Chief of Moscow Police James Fry confirmed that the cleanup plan was called off because of a court order linked to the arrest of Bryan Kohberger. Taylor has not been available for comment, and the judge issuing a gag order for legal teams and law enforcement working on the case. Her team spent around 45 minutes taking video footage inside and outside the property. 4 of the investigators then left the property, but a crime scene reconstruction analyst remained. It is unusual for defense attorneys paid by the state to create a reconstruction of the crime scene. Meanwhile, Kohberger's parents have insisted they don't have money for a private attorney. The investigation of the house comes after the court ordered a cleanup mission to be halted when it was announced that authorities had made an arrest in the chilling case. Ex-homicide detective and attorney Ted Williams said, "The fact that BRYAN Kohberger's attorney has brought in private investigators to go throughout this crime scene leads me to believe that he is definitely going to mount a strong defense." So what do you guys think? I think he's coming to play ball. Right, Bob. Taylor is the dream team of public defenders. She's not joking. Yes, Bob. Yeah. Who's not telling the full story, Henry? Of course. Listen, it should be innocent until proven guilty. Unfortunately, in more recent times, it is guilty until you could prove your innocence, and it really shouldn't be like that. I'm just in shock and awe with the timeline. How quick it was. The DoorDash. And he left his apartment way earlier. Oh, absolutely, Remy. Absolutely it will. Right, Dick. Right. Amina, the timeline is so crazy. Yeah, there is. Mr. Wrong, UK, please be respectful with your comments. So, Wandering Sub, he left his apartment at 2. Hold on, let me go back. $2:47. He was on the road. 2:47. Oh, thank you, Riddler. How experienced is this DA state attorney team with the murder cases? She got this man who was sentenced to 25 years overturned by proving an Idaho police officer lied. She is good. So he left over an hour. So where was he? Because it says that he was home at 2:42 a.m. And again, guys, I'm going to make a timeline based on the affidavit, and I'll post it on my community tab, and I'll have that for the next live because I know it'll be a lot. You're not hurting my ego, Mr. Wrong. It'll be a lot easier if you're a visual learner like me to see the actual times and what occurred in front of you. So I can't wait to do that because you're going to see how it all overlaps. It overlaps with one another. So 2:42, he's home. 2:47, he's en route. It takes 10, 12 minutes to arrive to the house. Okay? But he shut his phone off. But he's seen, and sorry, I have to scroll through the affidavit to find the specific parts. He was seen on footage (3:26 a.m.) and 3:28 a.m. So he's en route. And then starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m., he's in the King Road area. So he arrived around 3:30. So he must have been waiting. Oh, thank you, Valerie. I have like the normal timelines, but I want to make a timeline of the affidavit times of what happened and where he was seen at what times, what time Dylan heard what, and like put it out nicely. Not really, Wilhelm. We'll go over that next. That's a good point. Oh, I'm sorry, Riddler. The prosecution team. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm not sure, honestly. Well, we can look into it. Hey, Nicole. Yeah, hi, Kellyanne. No, it doesn't take 45 minutes. So that's what I'm saying. He's already seen in the King Road area at 3:29. And then he's also seen at 4:04 a.m., still backing around. Thank you, Henry. Still backing around, doing 3-point turns, parking. So he was just chilling around there, watching, probably trying to watch the surroundings. I still desperately want to know, where did he park? Hi, Kim M. My postcard deleting when I post in here today. What's a postcard? Yes, Michelle. And it kind of directly conflicts with when he entered the house. 4:04. So again, he's seen doing those 3-point turns. So you got to give a couple of minutes for him to finally find a spot to park, make his way in the house, and then he is seen booking it at 4:20. So this is 10-minute window for him to commit all the murders. Well, Wilhelm, I think the motive was internal. I think this was less about the people and more about Bryan. What's ridiculous, Isabel? But Mr. Downtown himself, that could have been the DoorDash, you know? That's so fast, Sam K. Danny, it is ending at 4:20 a.m. So the last time he was seen in that area was approximately 4:20 a.m., leaving at a high rate of speed. On Ridge Road with binoculars, you can see that. Maybe, yeah, Dick, maybe. Yeah, kudos to the police. He could, Robert. It's possible. It's just so bizarre to me that it also correlates with the time that Xana got her DoorDash. Okay, Valerie, thank you. No, Danielle, not that. No, he lived in a single apartment. But it was an apartment building. Oh, absolutely. That's what their job is, Bob. Their job is to challenge everything. That makes me curious, Jacqueline. Why this night? Oh, thank you for the super sticker, Kim. Why this night? why this house? You know, like, again, ew. I mean, eat a banana or us. I don't know what to tell you. No, he's not a DoorDash driver. Xana got DoorDash delivered. And he was already there. That's as far as we know, Michelle. That's true, mister. As far as we know, it was a single source of DNA on the button of the sheath. A single source of DNA. Okay, hold on. Okay. I don't think he was trying to frame his father. I don't think his dad knew. But I'm going to pose now a theory to you guys. So apparently, his mom had a fascination with killers too. And she always leaned more towards understanding them and their innocence and not too quick to judge. Now, if you guys know of fraud and what his theory is that children of the opposite sex have an attraction to their parents. And I know it's like, but if you're familiar, you know, meaning sons have an attraction to mothers, daughters have their attraction to fathers. Right, you saw the article she wrote for Bundy. Okay. So is it possible, a lot, Sofla Mama, is it possible that he was looking for his mother's acceptance? Oedipus complex. Is it possible that he was looking for this acceptance and approval, and he wanted to please his mom? Because it's so fascinating that this family is kind of in this field. And the movie that his sister made. Now, again, I'm not saying that this is it. I'm just throwing out thoughts. But it's just interesting that his whole family kind of, and it seems like they're all-American family, right? They have good jobs. They're educated. It's just interesting. His calm demeanor gives him away. Absolutely not. Ask Kemper for his input advice into the murders. Maybe Lawnmower Man. I'm just saying, it's a theory. That's interesting too, Fletch. Not one single significant other has stepped forward, which I do find interesting. I heard the incel theory being thrown around 1,000,001 times. And I think, wow, there hasn't been one significant other as far as we know for his entire life. Welcome, Dustin. Ahoy! Ahoy! defense will use timeline, which Bryan precisely was prepared for, like Denzel as the equalizer. He'd probably planned this for months. He was prepped. Yeah. But you know what, though, Dustin? For someone who was so prepared, he made a lot of bad rookie mistakes. Mr. Downtown, to be fair, religion has caused many deaths. So I don't want to go too far down the religious topic, but religious has been the cause of like mass genocides and things, like I love I don't want to say I love Edmund Kemper, but I'm fascinated with him. You're good, Danny. Yeah, right, Remy? Yeah, Brooke, exactly. Thanks, Riddler. All right, so yeah, like I said, so far, and please, if you have a different theory, let me know in the comments. I think his initial motive was Kaylee or Maddie. He went upstairs for a reason. This was the only floor that didn't have direct access outside. You need to think about your getaway plan in times like this. If this was just about a kill versus who, first floor had an occupant, also had direct access to outside. Second floor has occupants, yet has direct access to outside. For him to go upstairs is an extreme risk. And why would he take that risk if it was just about killing? So he came up. Kaylee, the Murphy was in Kaylee's room. She still had her bed in here and everything. So this is Kaylee's room. Okay? Murphy was in here. Probably the door was shut. That's what I'm assuming. I do not know. Killer went to Maddie's room. Kaylee and Maddie were sharing a bed. Killed them. This is what I believe is the sounds that Dylan said she heard, what she believed was Kaylee and Murphy playing. But really it was Bryan in the act of the murders and maybe Murphy making noises because he heard what was going on, barking. I think Bryan's intention was to leave at this point. So Bryan is going back down. But Xana had just gotten that DoorDash. And I think she's in the kitchen. I don't know if she was eating in the kitchen or just going to the kitchen to throw out her garbage. So I think as Bryan goes to make his exit, he's going down these stairs. Okay. Maybe it was in this exact moment right here. And this is why there's that footprint that's found here. Xana and the killer see one another. Xana goes running back towards her room. Again, this is right here on the sink is where we see the DoorDash order with Xana's name and the spilled soil. Xana books it, runs towards her room saying there's someone in the house. Dylan hears what she thought was Kaylee saying. There's someone in the house. She probably thought it was Kaylee because from Dylan's room, look, she's right next to the staircase. So when she hears people talking, it's probably, she thinks it's coming directly down from the staircase because Xana's room is all the way wrapped around this corner. But really, it was Xana running back to her room saying, someone's in the house. Killer follows. Xana. This struggle ensues in this hallway. Xana is killed, and that is why she's on the floor. Then Ethan obviously would have been awoken. Some type of struggle may have occurred here too. I don't know if Ethan was found in the bed or not. We do know along this wall, 50 feet from it, is where the neighbor's audio picked up distorted sounds. Oh, thank you, Booberry. Oh, thanks so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for all your hard work and all the time. Thanks for all the support. That means the world to me. Thank you. The distorted audio picked up cries, whimpers, and the sound of the dog barking. He did not intend to kill them. It was loud. Imagine now the dog barking. So now he's like, I got to get out. He's probably exhausted too, because now he just committed 4 murders. He's on his way out. He's going out where he came in. So he's going. As he's going out right here, Dylan opens the door. Okay? Even if he sees her, I think at that point, too much noise was happening. The dog was barking. And so he may have assumed cops had been called. And instead of dealing with Dylan, he makes his move and he goes out those sliding doors. Then he drives for over an hour, discards whatever evidence, possibly the knife, went back to his apartment, cleaned up, sat around, anxious. Are the police going to arrive at my door? Do they know it's me? Putting the news on, expecting to at least hear that cops there and there was a quadruple murder, but instead, hours and hours and hours passed with nothing. To the point where his curiosity was killing him, until he finally got in the car, took the 10-minute drive, and passed the house, did a drive-by of the house. Oh, hey, pub. How many accounts do you have? It's a troll, Jay. Don't worry. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have something similar, but like certain aspects you don't agree with? Let me know. Okay. He had a police scanner app, but his phone was off. At least until a little bit later. Yeah, so Flamama, so I'll pull that up too. And then, yeah, Robert, it would have been en route after leaving in such a hurry that he probably realized, oh my goodness, I forgot the sheath. Oh, really? Consciously biased? Awesome. E says totally. Oh, cool. Apparently, Bethany was asleep. Which parts don't you agree with, Lady Butterfly? Yes, Callie. Based on, and again, it's a working theory, but based on what I know now and the DoorDash and the sounds Dylan's testimony says and someone's in the house, I'm thinking he planned to just leave. Because it doesn't make sense why he could leave any witnesses, potential witnesses. Why would he leave 2 alive? We always question that. But it would make sense if maybe not even, he didn't even plan to kill 4. If his target was Kaylee or Maddie, which I have to believe because he even went to the 3rd floor, you wouldn't just randomly kill a random amount of people on different floors. If it was just about murders, you'd just kill with the least risk, which would be the 1st and 2nd floor. Both had direct access to outside. Well, no, they're not saying the DNA connects to the father. Okay. So what it is that they got a single source of DNA off the button of the sheath or whatever that thing is. Then they tested it against the father's DNA, and it's a 99.99999% match that this is the son of the father. Not that it's the father's DNA. It's a 99.999 match that it's his spawn. Yeah. Or vice versa. Maybe Kaylee always was. Yeah, CDT. So I think I'll do it one more time. I think the killer came in through the sliding door. His intentions always were to go upstairs. At this point, he goes up and he kills Maddie and Kaylee. That is, sorry, I'm trying to do it this way. That is when Dylan hears what she perceives is Kaylee and Murphy playing. It was really Bryan attacking Maddie and Kaylee and the dog reacting. I think at that point, he planned to leave. And I think he was going down the stairs and Xana was either in the kitchen eating or just went to the kitchen to discard her bag, because we see the DoorDash sitting right on the sink. Okay, we see this right here. So it makes me believe she made it to the kitchen. Now, do we know that's the exact DoorDash? No, but it's likely that it is. So, but you see the soil knocked over, right? Well, wait, you can't because my thing is in the way. Hold on, let me remove that comment. So I think as he was coming down, his plans were to leave out the sliding door. But him and Xana crossed paths right here. And I think this is when Xana ran. And as she ran to her room, she screamed, "Someone's in the house." And that is what Dylan heard. But Dylan assumed it was Kaylee from upstairs because the way her room is located, sound travels right down the stairs. She probably thought it was coming from upstairs, but really it was Xana running towards her room saying someone's in the house. And Bryan follows. Okay? Bryan ends up killing Xana and a fight struggles right here. Xana's on the floor. Then he ends up killing Ethan because Ethan would have woken up for that. Xana's running, trying to get his attention. Someone's in the house, running. He gets her as she's getting in her room. Ethan wakes up. Then he's got to kill Ethan. Now we know that there was enough noise for the audio on the neighbor camera to pick up, hear whimpering, hearing crying, and then hearing the dog barking. So now I'm imagining if he is now killing 2 more people, struggle occurred. He's exhausted, and all you hear is that dog barking. We know that it picked up whimpering, crying, and a loud thud, and then dog barking. So now this is noise. This is attention. We don't know what's going on. He hears that dog barking, so he's leaving. And as he's leaving, right here, Dylan opens the door. He's aware she's there, But he probably at this point thinks there's a high chance that the cops are already called because that was not planned. There was a struggle. There is noise. So at this point, even if he did see Dylan, the reason that he didn't stop and kill her is because he thought there's a chance she may have already called the cops. So he leaves and he goes right out these sliding doors. And then he drives for over an hour, discarding whatever he could. And then he makes it all the way back home. And he's sitting and he's waiting for either a knock on the door from the cops or at least has the news playing, has his phone out, waiting to see cops arriving. There's a quadruple murder. He knew what to expect, so it was a matter of time. But then hour by hour, he's sitting at home twiddling his fingers, waiting, and nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening, to the point where his curiosity started to drive him crazy. So he got in his car, he drove the 10 minutes back, and he looked to see what the hell's going on, what activity. If he saw Dylan, who saw him, which I have to believe that he saw her because she was able to see his face, and she said he was walking towards her. So if she was standing here, walking towards her, is coming from this direction, I highly doubt, even if she cracked the door open, that he wouldn't notice as he's walking in this direction, that door opening. But it was the impulsive decision that he didn't know how much noise was made. This was not planned. And he knew that dog was barking upstairs now and he needs to get out. So he got out. But then he went back because he did not understand why he hasn't heard anything yet. As far as cops coming, there was a murder, nothing. That's what I think so far. But I'm curious to hear autopsies report on Ethan and Xana do the reported thud. Was there blunt force trauma to the head? I think the thud was the body. 87. Yeah, sorry. I don't know, Lady Butterfly. I think I forgot what we were saying. What was the question? Oh, I think the loud thud was Xana hitting the floor. Yes, Danny. Now, we don't know if Ethan was also found on the floor or in the bed, but I think the thud was the sound of the body hitting the floor, which circles me back around to, holy crap, if it was loud enough for that neighboring camera on that house next door 50 feet away was able to pick up on that. Again, I do struggle with people in the own house don't hear that, especially knowing that Dylan opened the door 3 times. And again, I'm not trying to say that and I'm victim blame here. I'm just saying it is peculiar. I understand freezing when he walked past. Absolutely. But once you saw him leave, I don't understand how 7 hours passed before making a call for help. The coroner originally came out and said all 4 victims were likely asleep at the time of the attack. So people immediately went with that. Right, Scott, right. Studio, I'm not sure if it's okay, I'm going to help you. Now listen, that doesn't mean that that's exactly what was said versus that's what she perceived what was said in a situation where you don't even know the importance of what you're hearing. It may have been Ethan who said something along the lines of trying to help Xana, and that's just what she heard. Yes, Sam, don't apologize for asking questions. So each victim endured multiple stab wounds, and each victim pretty much had one fatal wound. I don't know. Shaq. Oh my God. Well, she recounted it. So actually it was hold on, I'll show you guys. ADT sent it to me. So later, an article is released that says, of the 4 University of Idaho students who were found stabbed to death in a rental house last Sunday, some were killed in their beds, the Latah County coroner told CBS News Friday. Coroner Kathy Mabutt would not provide any further details. She noted, however, that earlier media reports stating all 4 victims had been murdered in their beds were not accurate. Well, that's because you said all 4 were likely asleep, and people sleep in their beds usually. So I think I never liked Mabutt. And I think she never should have done interviews. Oh, thanks, CDT. It's a great question, Amina. He had to be drenched in blood. Well, at least his upper half, it would have had blood spatter. And that's why everyone was like, I think he was geared up. I think he was wearing a suit, like a hazmat suit or whatever. But are you talking about me, bows and ribbons? If you're going to say I'm super weird, it's you are, like YOU''RE, like you are super weird, not you're super weird. That would be possessive. So, but I like being weird. Right. Well, he's right, studio headphones. He didn't have to go upstairs. So why did he? Oh, okay. I don't know what's going on between you guys, but it's a block button, guys. Don't all have to agree. Yeah, she said he was dressed in all black and then had a mask covering the nose and mouth, which is like a COVID type mask. It may be something different. Who knows? Sam, on the second floor was Ethan, Zana, Dylan. Third floor, Kaylee, Maddie. First floor, Bethany. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Otherwise, he would have got Dylan also. He passed her room 3 times. I don't think he intended to kill anyone on the second floor. Hi, K-Star. Oh, it's going to answer a lot of questions, Nicole. Thanks, 2 foot Fred. You could come up tomorrow when I do an open panel. I'm not going to be on for that much longer today. I got to go soon. But thank you for the super sticker or the super chat. I don't know what the difference are. Oh, thanks, Studio Headphones. Absolutely, Michelle. People absolutely should be allowed to question what doesn't make sense to them. Absolutely. Questions are okay, and they're totally acceptable. What? That's okay, 2 Foot Fred. Yeah, you could come back tomorrow if you'd like to come up. I don't mind having people up. Most of the time, I'm a one gal type of show, but I do open the panel up and I have people on every now and then. All right, guys. Please stop engaging with one another in the chat. If you guys don't like each other, just block each other. But it's a problem when my chat starts to get derailed because you guys are going back and forth with one another. My mods have asked you guys numerous times, and I know they're holding back timing out because I don't like people getting timed out. So we have a very high tolerance, but if it's numerous times my mods have to ask you to please stop, you need to stop. Don't engage or block one another. Thank you, Lady Butterfly. Oh, she was definitely traumatized. I think, again, the biggest question is the amount of time that elapsed. No, that was Kaylee and Maddie. Yeah, and he cleaned the car very well. So that's what I was going to get on. Hold on. They said... Okay. Ooh, 21 minutes ago. So Idaho murder suspect BRYAN KOHBERGER cleaned car was seen wearing surgical glove, sources say. The man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students in November had thoroughly cleaned the interior and exterior of his car and was also seen wearing surgical gloves multiple times before being apprehended. Now, when we saw that body cam footage, that car was dirty. But to be fair, it was snowing, so he may have already cleaned it. It was 5 weeks that had passed. He could have cleaned it spotless, and it just got dirty naturally. Oh, thank you, Zofla Mama. Thank you so much. That was so sweet of you. But let me tell you about these gloves. He was wearing surgical gloves to supermarkets. Defense? Psh, what do you think they're going to say? It was COVID. It was the holiday time. Thank you, Sofa Mama. It's COVID. It was the holiday time. I don't want to go. It's a heightened time for a risk. I always, of course I wear gloves to the supermarket. I don't want to catch COVID. Bam. Easy as that. That's logical. In today's day and age, do you remember we had people with crazy masks, full-on bodysuits? There are people who still wear gloves. Masks is a normal thing. Right, Sam, exactly. So there you go. Why were you taking steps to ensure your DNA well, no, what do you mean? I wasn't. I was just going to the supermarket. It's around the holidays. I don't want to get sick. I wore gloves. So then it says, BRYAN, 28, is currently the sole suspect in the gruesome stabbings. KOHBERGER, who is pursuing a PhD in criminal justice, cleaned his car inside and out, not missing an inch, according to the law enforcement source. The source, who spoke on the condition of anonymity, was briefed on observations made by investigators during 4 days of surveillance leading up to Kohberger's arrest at his family's Pennsylvania home on December 30th. As Kohberger now remains behind bars in Idaho awaiting his January 12th status hearing, new details have emerged elucidating some of the suspect's movements in the days leading up to his arrest. A surveillance team assigned to Kohberger was tasked with 2 missions, according to law enforcement sources. Keep eyes on Kohberger so they could arrest him as soon as a warrant was issued, and try to obtain an object that would yield a DNA sample from Kohberger, which could then be compared to DNA evidence found at the crime scene. Kohberger was seen multiple times outside the Pennsylvania home wearing surgical gloves, according to the law enforcement source. In one instance prior to Kohberger's arrest, authorities observed him leaving his family home around 4 a.m. and putting trash bags in the neighbors' garbage bins, according to a source. At that point, agents recovered garbage from the Kohberger's family's trash bins and what was observed being placed into the neighbors' bins. The recovered items were sent to the Idaho State Lab, per the source. So you see the steps he was taking to ensure they didn't acquire his DNA? Even when he was in Pennsylvania, he was putting his trash in the neighbors. Last Friday, a Pennsylvania State Police SWAT team then moved in on the Kohberger family home, breaking down the door and the windows in what is known as a dynamic entry, a tactic used in rare cases to arrest high-risk suspects. On Thursday, Kohberger had his initial court appearance in Idaho after he was booked into the Latah County Jail Wednesday night following his extradition from Pennsylvania. Kohberger is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. He did not enter a plea at the hearing. Victim's father says suspect was hunting them. Steve Gonsalves, whose daughter Kaylee was amongst those killed, told Jim Scudo in an interview that aired Friday morning he has no reason to think his daughter was the killer's target in particular. Nobody understands exactly why, but he was stalking them. He was hunting them. He was a person looking for an opportunity, and it just happened to be in that house. And that's hard to take. She had her phone right next to her, and she couldn't call 911. So these were just girls that went to sleep that night, and a coward, a hunter that went out, and he picked his little opponent that was girls. That's probably why the house was targeted. None of these girls deserve this. The real problem we have is we have an individual that thought it was okay to attack other human beings. That's what I'm going to focus on. He said, I'd be a little bit surprised if there wasn't a clear touch point that would suggest that he was interested in 1 or 2 of the people more than he was the others. Again, which implies Kaylee, Maddie were the focus, not so much Xana, Ethan. Gonsalves was in the courtroom for Kohberger's appearance. He knows I want him to look me in the eye, so he didn't. He didn't give me that opportunity. He's scared to look me in the eyes and start to understand what's about to happen to him. He picked the wrong family. We're not scared of a conflict. We're not running. We're coming at him. Authorities spent nearly 2 months investigating before they were able to name publicly a suspect, a task that grabbed national attention and rattled the victims' loved ones as well as the community, which had not recorded a murder in years. Still, the public's view of the case remains mirrored with questions. As of late Thursday, it remains unclear what motivated the killings. It's also unclear how the suspect entered the house after authorities said there was no sign of forced entry, or why two roommates who were inside the residence at the time of the killings survived the attacks. Here's how investigators narrowed the search to Kohberger. DNA. Trash recovered from Kohberger's family home revealed that the DNA profile obtained from the trash was linked to DNA on a tan leather knife sheath found laying on the bed of one of the victims. The DNA recovered from the trash is believed to be that of the biological father of the person whose DNA was found on the sheath. Phone records. Authorities found the suspect's phone was near the victim's Moscow, Idaho home at least a dozen times between June 2022 to the present day. The records also reveal Kohberger's phone was near the crime scene hours after the murders that morning between 9:12 and 9:21 a.m. The killings were not reported to authorities until just before noon. A white sedan. A Hyundai Elantra was seen near the victim's home around the time of their killings. Officers at Washington State University identified a white Elantra and later learned it was registered to Kohberger. The same car was also found at the suspect's Pennsylvania family home when he was arrested last Friday. The suspect's university is about a 10-minute drive from the Idaho crime scene. The roommate reveals she heard crying the day of attacks. One of two roommates who were not harmed in the attack said she saw a masked man dressed in black inside the house on the morning of the killings. Identified as Dylan in the court document, the roommate said she heard crying in the house that morning and also heard a man's voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Dylan said she then saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. Dylan described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past Dylan as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the backsliding glass door. Dylan locked herself in her room after seeing the male. The roommate did not recognize the male. So, wow. And Steve, they also, the family in the interview, Andy, I don't know how many times I have to say, I absolutely have questions, and 1 + 1 is not equaling 2. But I'm doing that. I'm not going to sit there and straight up accuse. Like, I'm doing it respectfully. That's not the same as letting her off the hook, right? But I'm not about to also be responsible like a million other channels do and blame people without knowing for sure, and for certain all the information. So we do it respectfully on this channel. But in the interview with Kaylee's parents, they said that they absolutely are in support of the death penalty. Well, Dustin, what's again interesting is that he's been in that area at least 12 times prior. One of those times was August 21st, 11:40 p.m. on a Sunday, 5 minutes away. He just moved there in August. He shouldn't have known the area. He shouldn't have known the people. He shouldn't have known anything. This was the day before classes officially started. How did he have them targeted already? No, Lady Butterfly. Yes, they do, Valerie. Imagine moving to a whole new state, a whole new town. It would take a while to get to know the area, the people. He was there 5 minutes away, August 21st. And again, I said it earlier, it makes me question, was the entire motive of Bryan choosing this school was following in the footsteps of people he may consider mentors. Ted Bundy went to this school. BTK, he chose to take a class underneath the professor who taught BTK and also wrote books on him. Was his entire purpose going here was with the intentions of committing his perfect crime, his masterpiece, his work of art, like Bundy killing the sorority girls, like BTK underneath the same direction of this professor. Did he pick little things that he enjoyed from each of the killers he admired and created his own work of art in his mind? No, Valerie, not as far as they know. No, as far as we know, Dylan does not recognize the suspect. Neither does the corner club. Neither does the vegan. I think he, and I've said this before we found out it was Bryan, I always thought it was someone not in the spotlight. I said it's going to be a name we hadn't heard before, and it's someone who lives close by but not directly there, and they would have been familiar with the house from just observing. Look how familiar, Amy, look how familiar, hey Pink, that we are with the house. Yet have we ever been in this house? No. We got familiar with seeing photos and then Zillow, and then, yeah. He was out there at least 12 times back in August. Think about how you could see right through the house at nighttime when the lights are on. If he just observed from afar, you would get an understanding. But it's like, how did he start stalking out that house or the occupants as soon the same month he moved there? It was the day before classes started. He just got there. Oh, me too, Cookie for XO. And there's a lot of channels that owe apologies to them, and they haven't. Absolutely, Rich. Oh, thanks, Lady Butterfly. Right, Andy. But this is interesting. He was still home when all four got home. So he may not have known Ethan was going to be there. Because I questioned initially the timeline was 3 to 4 a.m. Okay? He did work. He was a TAE at the same school. So I theorized, was he already lying in wait when they got home and then went in? But now we know from the phone records, he was still at his apartment after 2 a.m. And they got home around 1:45 a.m. So he did not necessarily know Ethan was there. Which kind of leads more to my theory of he came in, went up, Maybe just Maddie was the target and he didn't expect Kaylee either. Okay? Then when he comes down and he chases Xana to the room, surprise, surprise, that not only is he met with Xana, there's Ethan, a 6'4" athletic man. And so between the struggle and the noises and the barking, yeah, he booked it out of there. And even though Dylan may have opened that door, at that point, the risk was too high and he left. Oh, thank you, Nicole. But unfortunately, defense is going to tear Dylan apart. And the phone pings showing he's in the area, but can you prove he was at the house? You know, it's they're going to throw in a lot of reasonable doubt. How many of you guys think he's going to plead not guilty and he's going to take it all the way to trial? How many of you guys think he's going to take a plea? Because death is on the table. Correct. It was still a high, Andy, it was still an insane risk. Yes. You think a plea, Danny? No plea, media is evil. Trial, Tommy. Yeah, he seemed calm and cool, collective. He was a cool as a cucumber with a very busted nose, but a cool as a cucumber. And even for him to say, nope, I'm waiving extradition hearing, I look forward to being exonerated. I think, of course, he wanted to get away with it. But now that he hasn't, I think that this is his arena. This is his game. And he's ready to move the chess pieces. Because he's going down in history. And he isn't going to just sit back and whimper out. I think he is invested to the point where he wants to make his name known. I mean, I think that was to play the game. Yeah, but Cookie, he may just end up taking life to discard the possibility of death. Yeah, it is crazy, Andy. Yeah, he could say someone stole his knife, but then that's why it was so important to link him to the car, to get him on footage. We have to hope that there is some clear footage that you could potentially even see him. I did, Nicole. Thank you. That was very sweet. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes, exactly that, Michelle. But that's what I meant, Jay, by the plea deal, like switching an agreement for not the death penalty. But I think he's going and we're all just pieces in his game of chess, and he's moving the knight here and the bishop there, and he's going to do this because it's about notoriety. You too, Amber. I think I get that vibe too, Sofla Mama. I mean, he does, but he doesn't. I think he's more concerned with the notoriety and making a name for himself And he doesn't want to, he's admired all these serial killers, right? He's done his research. Right, exactly, Wolfie. Like, this is still part of his research. Exactly. And so he's not about to go down with a plea deal. He's not about to go down with guilty. He wants to do trial. And he wants to make his name in the headlines. And he wants to try to get off. I think he physically gets off from all of this. He did, Danny, yeah. And I think he's got a really, for a fucking court-appointed defense attorney, I think he did good. Trent, I think the comment he made about has anyone else been arrested was already playing games. Or did his dad have knowledge? And when I say that, please do not send hate to anyone, anywhere. This is just theory and speculating. Maybe his dad, he confessed to his dad, and the reason he asked was, like, did you arrest dad too? Yeah, he has a chance. Listen, all you need to do is convince one person of a jury on 12. Look at this chat, okay? Ready? I just had to stop like 10 minutes ago because of how passionate two people can get when they don't agree, right? And I said, it's funny how everyone feels so differently and has differing opinions. Yeah, same thing in trial. Look at Casey Anthony. All you need to do, it's the prosecutor's job to convince this jury you're guilty. It is only the defense's job to convince them with enough reasonable doubt that you're not 100% certain it's them. And that's why I think he's about to make this a grandiose, a huge spectacle like Bundy did. I don't think he'll represent himself, but I think he absolutely will aid in his own counsel, and he will be pulling out those books, and he will be the type who's passing notes to his defense attorney. Right. You only need one single juror to have enough reasonable doubt. Well, what do you think of my theory, Wolfie? Right, Carmen, right. How he got in the house? No, not yet, Kim. The only thing we know is that he left through the sliding doors based on Dylan's testimony. Well, Trent, 9 out of 10 times, it never is the person that we think it is, right? We have this idea or image that we create in our minds of what a sadistic person would look like who could do this. And then a lot of times they end up being Chris Watts's, like someone from an outside you'd never think twice about. They don't look crazy. They don't look sadistic. I wouldn't look twice at Bryan. But I think that also adds to the psychopathy of it is how calm he is. DNA is DNA, though, but I'll be honest, I'm concerned that as far as we know, it's a single source. And we don't know if it's blood, skin cells, what. Apparently, he requested her E. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Crusty buttons. That's their job. And they're going to, what's sad is, Dylan is going to be one of the, if not the star witness. I'm taking it from the affidavit, Baseball Mom. I could send you a link to the affidavit if you need it. But Dylan's going to be a star witness, and she's most likely going to have to take the stand, and they're going to tear her to shreds. Right, Sam, but the defense is going to play it off like COVID is running rampant. It was the Christmas and holidays. Of course, he was taking measures to ensure he didn't catch the virus. You can't tell me it's out of the norm to wear masks or gloves to prevent COVID. Most likely not. Even if Dylan called, most likely none would survive, because if we're going by the injuries, the coroner stated each suffered multiple stab wounds, and each suffered basically one fatal stab wound in the chest area. And so based on that, and knowing the type of weapon that was used and the injuries that would have been inflicted, the amount of blood loss, how many stab wounds, plus the location, including like a fatal one, it really wasn't likely that any would survive. We don't know, Real Rebel. We haven't heard anything as far as Bethany, which I'd be interested. Well, Sam, they say that everyone was asleep or at least in their rooms by 4 a.m. Me too, Carmen. Me too. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to get off. I got to go get my daughter, but I appreciate all you guys being here. It's so nice to see some new faces. Again, I welcome all opinions, all theories. It's just making sure to communicate it respectfully. And 99.999% of the time, you guys do. And I appreciate that. Thank you guys for anyone who's joined the memberships or sent super chats. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It means more than you know. Again, I'm going to put together that visual timeline based off the affidavit. I'm going to take all of the times based on what Dylan said happened, what she witnessed, plus the DoorDash, plus the pings on Brian's phone and the card. I'm going to put it all together so we can see, and we can see how they kind of overlap and what time frame something, like the murders had to occur in. I don't know. I'm a visual learner, so it really helps me seeing a visual. So I will make that today, and I'll put it on my community tab, and we'll use it the next time I go live tomorrow. Oh, me too, Amina. You guys are amazing. Seriously, thank you. And I hope you all have the most amazing weekend. Appreciate what you have. Cherish your families. Hold your little ones. You never know when it's going to get taken away or something can happen. So I will talk to you all soon. Happy Friday. And thanks for being here. And hit the thumbs up on your way out. It's a free way to support the channel. Thank you.